As a person with a very deep voice, I'm hired all the time for advertising campaigns. But a deep voice doesn't sell B2B, and advertising on the wrong platform doesn't sell B2B either. That's why if you're a B2B marketer, you should use LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn has the targeting capabilities to help you reach the world's largest professional audience. That's right, over 70 million decision makers all in one place. All the big wigs, then medium wigs, also small wigs who are on the path to becoming big wigs. Okay, that's enough about wigs. LinkedIn ads allows you to focus on getting your B2B message to the right people. So, does that mean you should use ads on LinkedIn instead of hiring me, the man with the deepest voice in the world? Yes. Yes, it does. Get started today and see why LinkedIn is the place to be to be. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply.
Entrepreneurs Enigma is a podcast for the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. So the wins and the fails that we all face being entrepreneurs, how we learn from adversity. Every week I talk to a different entrepreneur with a story to tell. I'm Seth Goldstein. Come with me on the journey. This is Entrepreneurs Enigma. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneurs Enigma podcast. As always, I am Seth, your host. Today I have Andrew McDonald, all the way from across the pond. I think he's in Ireland or Wales. I think he's Welsh, but lives in Ireland. Or he's Irish and he lives in Wales. One of the two. We'll iron that out when we get him up here on the stage here. Andrew is a neurodivergent copywriter. He specializes in helping neurodiverse entrepreneurs build and scale their businesses to reach their full potential. He does this by cutting through the noise from the neurotypical focused gurus and experts who deliver advice and tips aimed at neurotypical people who, doesn't always compute to us neurodivergent people. There's more than one way to grow a business, and Andrew will guide you through it. And let's bring Andrew in here. Hey, Andrew, how's it going? So you're Welsh living in Ireland.
Correct, yeah.
All right, I got it right the first time. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So are you a Wrexham fan?
Well, yes, yeah.
How can you not be at this point,
Yeah, but I was actually born in Wrexham, and
wow. Local.
My home is like 6 miles from Wrexham town. So I was actually watching Wrexham before
back in their heyday.
Yeah, before Reynolds and McElhenney came along. But it's really weird because I've always had to kind of, once I went outside the local area, I've always had to describe myself as coming from Wrexham, which is near Chester. And then sometimes...
Chester is not in Wales, right?
No, Chester is in England, yeah. And then sometimes even I have to say, we're not that far from Liverpool and Manchester.
You're not really far from anything in England, in the UK. I mean, let's be honest. It's the size of maybe the East Coast, if that.
That's true.
So, I mean, the fact that, Wales is its own country, sort of, and then, like, Scotland's its own country, sort of. Ireland is the only one that's kind of got... Well, Ireland, in that area, is the only one that's kind of got it right, where it's like, we're not part of the UK. We are our own country, damn it.
Yeah. But, no, it's really strange because I've spent my whole life explaining where I come from, and now I have people saying, "Oh, do you know Wrexham?" Because of obviously the Hollywood.
It's kind of funny. But also, Wales is not that big.
Yeah, no.
So you see here Wales and then Wrexham, and it's like, well, that's probably the only thing you know about Wales. And most people know about Wales is that Wrexham. Thanks to Reynolds and McElhenney. Other than that, it's like, what's Wales? Mm-hmm. Besides, it's spelled weird. It's not whale. It's Wales.
Yeah. And dragon is our national animal rather than Wales. You have a very cool
flag.
Yeah.
You have a very cool flag. So you are a neurodivergent copywriter who loves the pit bull. Clearly, doesn't have a pit bull, but wants a pit bull at some point. If you read his site, andrewmcdonald.biz. But his logo is a pit bull, which I like how you explain it, that it's kind of misunderstood is actually a very capable animal. It's just its reputation gets ahead of itself, and it's not fair, essentially.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes for neurodivergence too. I mean, because and neurodivergence is so broad a topic. Like, I'm ADD. I mean, anyone who listens to this knows I'm as ADD as you can get, ADHD as you can get. Like, it's just who I am. It's a superpower. I always equate it to Cyclops from the X-Men with until you kind of figure out how to harness it. It's like Cyclops from X-Men without his visor on, and you're just shooting lasers everywhere. I mean, it's just going like completely all over the damn place. But then there's other things. There's OCD. There's PTSD. There's this. There's that. There's I mean, everything. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to really say that anyone's really neurotypical, because everyone has their own, pardon my language, bullshit going on.
Yeah.
Their own bullshit. Sure. So I'll start the explicit tag early here. So how did you get started? Like, what's the origin story of Andrew here? Like, how did you find your way into doing copywriting, and helping people with neurodivergence kind of get a handle on the whole neurotypical landscape?
I mean, I'd always wanted to have my own business, and I looked at kind of where my skills and where my passions sort of collided, and writing was one of those areas. From a very young age, I'd been published in sort of national newspapers and magazines and so on.
Hot shot here. There you go.
So, it's always something that I've been able to do and I've enjoyed doing. But I initially came across the sort of make six figures in 6 months, make money in your pajamas stuff that you hear all the gurus and experts kind of spouting.
From everyone, yeah.
And I don't think that it's exclusive to copywriting or marketing, but I think that it's almost that on steroids when it comes to copywriting and marketing. And the outcome of that is that realistically, most people ain't gonna achieve that. Certainly not within 6 months.
Not 6 months. I mean, it's 5 years, 15 years. It's like the 15-year overnight success.
Yeah.
I always say it's like, they're overnight success. No, they've been hacking away at this for 10 years.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Neville Hobson and Shell Holtz are the legendary hosts of FIR4 Immediate Release, a great podcast. Shell, tell us what these fine folks will get when they listen.
Well, Jason, Neville and I have been producing FIR since January of 2005. It's the very first PR communications podcast ever. We analyze current news and trends from a communication perspective with a short episode or two each week and a longer, more in-depth show every month.
Awesome. Where can people subscribe?
Well, they can go to firpodcastnetwork.com. They can find the show, of course, at marketingpodcast.net or search for Immediate Release wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard him, folks. Go subscribe.
Exactly, precisely. But the message that you're getting is almost that if you can't achieve this within 6 months, then you're a failure. There's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
And so
a lot of neurotypical people can't do that either. So let's put that out
for sure.
For
sure. And that resulted in me, like, I'm already neurodivergent. I already have anxiety and depression issues. And that resulted in me giving myself a really, really, really hard time.
It's tough when you see these people that are these overnight successes when they say, you can do it in 6 months. Well, they might have gotten it done in 6 months once.
Yeah.
And they might say, this is how I got here once. So have they replicated it? I mean, some have, some have been successful. But saying that everyone can get it done in 6 months is bullshit, honestly.
Yeah. No, it is. It's complete bullshit. And but this is the message that we're getting from gurus and experts: is that you can do this in record time, and if you don't, it's not because we have sold you a version of reality that isn't actually very real, or that we've led, you know, we've you know what I'm saying.
It's not like it's their problem. It's something wrong with you, and it's not right. It's not right because it's not something wrong with you. It's something wrong with the program that it's not replicable. But they don't want to admit it because they're snake oil salesmen.
Yeah. And I kind of was looking around and I was thinking, why isn't this working for me? Why does, for example, blasting out cold emails after cold email after cold email leave me feeling shit?
Because it does leave you feeling shit. Because it's a very shitty feeling, it's very boring, very monotonous, and it's even more so for the neurotypical, neurodiverse. Because it's monotonous. It's not. It doesn't keep our brains firing very easily.
Yeah. And I came across a summit that was run by one of your previous guests, Claire.
Oh yeah, I love Claire. Yeah, that's where we met. We met via that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And her Neurodivergent Entrepreneur Summit kind of really struck me like a lightning bolt. Because suddenly there was this panel of people describing what I was feeling myself.
And in all honesty, even more unique because it was all women. And women, and I mean, as much as it wasn't exactly a diverse group, it was from a perspective of a group that is marginalized by neurodivergence because they don't always present. I mean, guys are kind of, it's on our nose.
Yes.
Like, literally, like we are, like you can tell when a dude is ADHD. We're very, it's on our sleeve. It's, we're outwardly presenting, whereas a lot of women aren't outwardly presenting. I know a few that do, but not many. And so that, I thought that was interesting about her whole cohort, was that it was it wasn't very diverse in the way of, like, there are some men that should be that have been on there and whatnot, but I digress on that. But the fact that it affects everyone differently, which is kind of interesting to say.
Yeah, for sure. And I listened to them talking about their experiences. I listened to them talking about the way that they had moved away from what the gurus and experts had been telling them to do, and how they had grown their businesses successfully, but with a focus on sustainability and with a much more human face to their marketing. A much more human networking, giving people, providing value to people, so that they are building people up, and they're only kind of selling their products or services when people are actually ready for them, when they're actually ready to benefit from them. And that revolutionized my approach to building my own business. And it was only then that I started to see success for myself.
Yeah. And I also look on your website. It's a very simple website. I like that you use the dyslexic font, which is very handy. I mean, to me, it's kind of ironic. To me, it's actually hard to read because I'm not dyslexic. But, it's not that hard to read. It's just like, I know. And luckily, because I'm a web designer, I understand what font that is. And I'm like, he's not just trying to be cute. He's trying to be accessible, which is a good idea. But one thing I like about your site is that you don't claim to have all the time in the world. You say you have a wait list. Just like, I'll get back to you right away and let you know when I can pick up the time. So you need to pace yourself to not get overwhelmed, not to get anxious and all that stuff. And you make it perfectly clear. Look, the wait list might be 2 days, but I want you to prepare my potential clients, my visitors, that I pace things out. And I think setting expectations is kind of key when it comes to anything, even in the neurotypical world. It's not done enough where expectations are set. Like, this is what needs to be done when.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
I love that. So moving along, so you've done the the plebe world, when you worked for someone else, I'm sure, right?
Yes.
So what's the best
absolutely.
thing about being an entrepreneur in your mind? Like,
best thing for me,
there's the obvious, yeah.
Best thing for me is that I never really, like a lot of neurodiverse people, I never really felt like I fitted in.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result of that, the office was never a completely comfortable space for me to be in.
Absolutely.
And I did suffer workplace bullying on more than one occasion. And I think that's tough for neurotypicals, but I think it's especially tough for neurodiverse people because we tend to
internalize everything.
And the problem is we view the problem as ourselves rather than the situation
or the other person being a schmuck. Honestly,
exactly. Yeah. I mean, like, there's no excuse for bullying anybody.
Yeah.
But being on the receiving end of it, when you already have to a degree vulnerabilities, it's probably even more painful than if you don't have those vulnerabilities. And
absolutely, yeah.
The best thing really is now I get to pick and choose who I work with.
That's very nice, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I can genuinely help the people that I feel I can serve best, and help people who are like me. Because I mean, there's no coincidence that I picked the neurodivergent copywriter as a name. It's because I want to work with people who are like me, who are going on that same journey, but I want to make that journey for them shorter and less painful than it was for me.
That's fantastic. I mean, and it's huge. So on the flip side, what keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night? There not being enough hours in the day.
Oh my God, that's a good one, because it's so true. It's like, even with a wait list, I'm sure that it's like, oh my God, I have to get this done, I have to get this done, I have to get this done, and the anxiety kicks in. I mean, I have anxiety, and it kicks in, and it's like, oh my God, everything's going to go to shit. When it never does. Have you realized that when we think, our brains think that everything's going to go to shit, it never does. It goes to shit when we don't think when things are going to go to shit. That's what happens.
Yeah, I think it's when you're overconfident that you lose the run of things, and that's when you make a mess.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's a silver cloud. There's a silver lining to every cloud, and whilst I would say that anxiety is a very, very, very grey dark cloud for the most part, one positive of it is it keeps you on the ball.
It does, because you don't want to experience it.
Yeah.
You want to, that, and and you always think you're behind the ball, and you're not. You're actually ahead of it a lot of times. So what is the most important thing to carry with you all the time?
Do you mean item or as a value?
It can be values. It can be you can go as deep as you want. You can go as surfacey as you want. You can go both ways, any which way.
I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is to focus on sustainability, rather than sort of driving yourself into poor mental health, chasing the sort of fantastical dreams that are sold, that are used basically to sell courses and programs.
Absolutely.
And I think, and it's something that I help businesses and business people that I work with focus on sustainability, focus on the concept that that you're going to be here next year, you're going to be here in 5 years' time. Yes, you grow as you do that, and it's important to have ambition, but you want to know where your next contract is coming from, where your next job is coming from, rather than this kind of boom. I call it a boom and bust cycle, because I see the sort of icky sales strategies, and people get clients quickly from them, but they tend to burn those clients.
Or the clients are schmucks, or the clients are the worst because you're rushing to get them and you're not vetting them correctly. It's happened to me plenty of times, buddy. Plenty of times.
Yeah.
And it is a boom and bust. So definitely. So where can people find you online, Andrew? Where's your watering hole of choice?
Yeah, my website is www.andrewmcdonald.biz, B-I-Z. That's the best place to find me. And I also have I've written a free book that's basically a guide to building a marketing outreach campaign as a neurodivergent entrepreneur. Unlike the gurus and the experts, I don't claim that it's a silver bullet.
No,
it's an idea. It's ideas, and it's ideas that I found useful for me.
And it's free, so go get it.
Yeah, and that is at the website that I just read out. Then use that URL /book.
Oh, very easy to remember. We'll put it all in the show notes in case you're driving or whatever. And don't swerve, people. Don't swerve. We'll have it in the show notes. Absolutely. And you're, of course, on LinkedIn as well. So that's, I guess, your social media of choice.
Yeah. If you look for Andrew McDonald and then you find the neurodivergent copywriter, that's me.
That's him. Absolutely. And also, he has very cute pictures of pit bulls on his website. So go check it out. Well, Andrew, this has been so much fun. I'm so glad we got to connect via Claire's event. I'm glad I get you on the show, and we'll see everyone next time.
Thanks so much, Seth.
That was a great show. If you're enjoying Entrepreneur's Enigma, please review us in the podcast directory of your choice. Every review helps other podcast listeners find our show. If you're looking for other podcasts in the marketing space, look no further than the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcasts.net. Goldstein Media hopes you have enjoyed this episode.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Sean Swaim hosts a great podcast called SEO Last Week. Sean, tell us what these fine folks will get when they listen.
Anybody who listens to SEO Last Week will get all the updates of what's going on in the world of SEO in about 15-20 minutes or so that way you can stay up to date with what's going on Google without having to dig through 60 different blogs to do so.
That is super useful. Where can people subscribe?
Hey, we try to keep things simple. You can subscribe at Marketing Podcasts with that second S.net, or you could just search for SEO Last Week wherever you get your podcasts from.
You heard him, folks. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.